Going to look at interoperability and compatibility issues as, again, challenges are associated with the use of digital dentistry. So different digital systems often don't talk to each other as well. So I did make an example using iPhones. I said I have personally tried to transfer data from my iPhone to devices that are not iPhone, and I really did struggle to do that. So imagine you have that in the system of digital dentistry where some technologies do not actually communicate with other technologies, then that will become a problem. So the digital system are not integrated, may not be fully integrated with systems outside of their own manufacturers. So that can be a problem. So that means if that is the case, let's say if you are now an iPhone person, what it will mean is that your phones will be iPhone, your laptop will be iPhone, your desktop will be iPhone, everything will be iPhone, so that your system can actually work collaboratively together. So you cannot use an iPhone you cannot use an iPhone and then your laptop is HP and your big screen is Samsung or something like that. Then they cannot be able to connect together. Okay, I'm just using that as an example as to what you might expect in digital dental practices if you are going digital. So that might be an impact there. Branded softwares and hardwares create closed ecosystem, complicating workflow integration. So sometimes the softwares are branded, so you cannot use a software that is designed for a particular company and install it in a machine that is designed for another company. So there is, again, that complication in workflow integration will become a problem if you go in digital. So you need to be aware of these issues, that there is going to be compatibility issues and interoperability issues. Then the key problems that are associated with this will include that your scanner A may not export your files readably to a milling machine unit that is from a producer B. Do you understand? So you have a scanner which is produced from A. You cannot be able to export the file that you have scanned with that to a milling machine or to a CAM system that is not of the same product as that scanner A. That will be intercompatibility issues. Labs may not accept certain file format. It's like when you want to upload some file, digital files, they will tell you PDF, Microsoft Word. There are different file systems, and some, if you are browsing a certain, company might want you to upload files, but they want you to upload files that are in certain formats. Okay, so that could be a problem in digital dentistry when you want to transfer your file from your dental clinic to a dental laboratory, and that dental laboratory might actually want the file to be sent to them in a particular format that is compatible to the systems that they have, but the clinician who is sending those files to them does not have a machine that can create those formats, and then that becomes a problem in terms of interoperability and compatibility issues. The CBCT softwares may not integrate with the PMS and EHR systems. Again, you begin to struggle with those. So what are the clinical impact of this interoperability and compatibility issues? It slows down your workflow. Okay, it slows down significantly your workflow, and there is level of inefficiency in the work that you will be doing. Once you start struggling to communicate with other systems, then you begin to experience inefficiency, and you might think, oh, I should have stayed with what I was doing manually before, instead of now we are stranded, we cannot roll out the job for the patients are getting frustrated, because once you begin to promise the patients that you can do this thing perfectly well using these systems, you can do it in a very reduced time, then you begin to run into the problem of over promising and under delivering, and then people who would have been patient with you to wait for 1 week for you to do a crown for them will no longer be able to wait for 2 days. Do you understand? If you had no system to promise them, then they would say, if you tell them, well, this crown is going to take 1 week, okay? You're going to have to come within 1 week. You come here 3 times for us to check the process. They will agree. They will make themselves available to do that. But once you promise them same day process, and then that same day process begin to work inefficiently, they begin to run out of patience. If you tell them, okay, we can't finish this work today because of XYZ, our system is crashing, our system is not compatible with the lab where we are sending your work to, then that begins to create a problem, because now you have overpromised but under delivering. Okay, there is increased reliance on specific vendors. Okay, so some vendors will be locked in. You have people that supply you certain things. It's like when you have vendors that sell newspaper. Now, there are people, there are some compounds, there are some buyers that can only buy newspaper from a particular vendor. So the vendor will come and drop off the newspaper for them every day because they subscribe to those vendors. So you cannot just go and supply a newspaper, throw in your newspaper to a buyer where the buyer already have a vendor that will still come and drop another newspaper. So that buyer might be getting 2 newspapers at the same time. So there is going to be vendor lock-in activities, which again will not be beneficial for the system. If that your vendor is not available to supply you what you need, then that becomes a problem, isn't it? So there will be difficulty in multi-practitioners and multi-location practices. Again, once you begin to suffer from this incompatibility, imagine you are not in the same place and you rely solely on these systems to actually transmit your work to the other place where it will be finished, or your partner clinics. Now that becomes a problem. If you rely on patient file system to actually transfer your patient to the specialist who you are working with, and then the patient has gone to see the specialist but the file has not come to the specialist, that creates a problem even at the file level. Okay, one example is that a dentist with an older intraoral scanner may struggle to transfer files to a modern lab that requires open source or specific formats, delaying the production. So I assuming that when digital dentistry started, you were very enthusiastic and you jumped into it, you bought your intraoral scanner, and this intraoral scanner now is about 12 years old or 7 years old. Now it's a bit obsolete, it's a bit outdated. The software does no longer aligns with the new ones. Okay, it's like going to iPhone now with your iPad 1 or iPad 2. I don't know what brand of iPad they are having now, but when we bought iPad in those days, I think my iPad was iPad 2 or iPad 3. I remember at one point it had a problem. I don't know what problem it had. I took it to Apple. They couldn't fix it for me because they said nobody's using it. We don't even have the parts to fix this iPad anymore. No one is talking about the iPad 1 and 2 anymore. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So that could be a problem in your practice. The other one is technological obsolescence, which I have already started talking about. So digital tools will evolve rapidly over time. Just look at iPhones and Samsung. They launch new phones every day. If you are a phone crazy person, you will be changing your iPhone every year, because every year there is a new phone that is coming out. If you buy a new phone today, then give it. In fact, you might buy a phone, depending on what time you buy it. If you pre-order the phone, you might have up to 1 year before another one comes out. But if you buy the phone when it has become popular, you might be buying it, and in 2 months' time, a new iPhone will be out. So that becomes a problem. There is technological obsolescence. So you buy your equipment today, just be rest assured that you will not use this equipment forever. In the near future, modern technology will be out, modern equipment will be out, modern scanners will be out, which may have features that is now the features might not be more in vogue than the features you have in your own scanner. And then you think about it, what are you going to do? Are you going to go and sell this one and buy a new one? Or are you going to now have a second scanner? Or you just have to make do with the one you have? So these are things we need to be conscious of. So some of the key concerns here is that software updates may require new licenses or new hardwares, and then that they will no longer be compatible. I've been trying to I had one phone before that had a WhatsApp application on the phone, and then because the phone is so old, I tried to update the WhatsApp. They told me that the new version of WhatsApp is no longer compatible with that phone, so I cannot update the WhatsApp. So it means I can no longer use WhatsApp on that phone because the new version of WhatsApp is not compatible with the phone anymore. That becomes a problem. That means that has gone obsolete. Okay, so manufacturers may discontinue the support or replacement parts. Again, this is a problem. When you buy a certain technical machines, the manufacturers do have parts in place to support the maintenance of that. When it gets to a point where they have moved on, okay, it gets a point where the manufacturers have moved on in their production, they may not have more parts or more resources to support the ones that the older ones, and then you are stuck. Now you have a problem, you don't know how to fix it. There is a part that need to be changed and it can't be found anywhere. Okay, in fact, if you go to a phone shop to change some components of your phone, I think what the phone people do now is that they buy phones that are broken. They buy it cheap, not because they want to repair it, but they want to use parts in that phone that are good to fix other people's phone. So you need a battery. They look at your battery. If your battery is dead, they will take a battery from a different phone and put it in your own phone. They are not putting you a brand new battery. They are just taking from another phone. You need maybe your face scanner is not working or your camera is not working. They will say, okay, they will take your phone, look for one of the old phones that they have in the office, remove the camera from there and put it in your own phone, because they can no longer get brand new cameras from the manufacturers to fix your phone. Okay, so it will get to a point where they may even run out of the parts. Okay, they may even run out of the parts that they will use to actually fix phones, and then that means if your phone is broken, you just have to throw it away to go and buy a new one. So that is a concern that you might be facing in digital dentistry. Competitive pressure to upgrade for marketing or efficiency. So there is this pressure to upgrade for marketing and efficiency. One of the things that businesses do is to put, in order for them to have a very fast turnaround, is to put expiring date on the product. Remember, I am using things that are outside of dentistry to try to make us understand this. So imagine you go to a shop. Some of you, I remember when I first went to the UK, in Nigeria, I never ever saw any bread that had expiring date. I didn't know that bread could have expiring date. This was many years ago. And I went to the UK and I saw breads, they all have expiring dates. And then I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. How does bread have an expiring date? In those days, we know that bread has expired when the bread is no longer good. Yeah? You have eggs that have expiring dates in the UK. When we were in the other parts of the world, you only know that your egg has spoiled if it's no longer good. But not that it has expiring date. Why do they put expiring date? Now, it is good for your safety, fine. However, psychologically, that is a marketing strategy. So when it gets to that expiring date, that doesn't mean that that egg is bad or the bread is bad, but it means that psychologically you have to throw it away to come and buy another one. Do you understand the game? So it's a mind game. You have to throw it away to come and buy another one, because you're actually not going to begin to put the bread through an analysis to find out whether it is still good or not, put an egg through an analysis to find out whether this egg is still good, edible or not. Once you see a date that is written on it, then by that date something tells you, oh my God, you can't eat this anymore, you need to throw it away to buy another one. Imagine that kind of a thing coming into the market. People will get so committed to upgrade that there is a new technology out there. Oh God, how am I going to buy this new technology? I went to a friend and they're talking about this technology. They have something new. I need something new. This competition, it can get a bit unhealthy, and that might also even have some financial implications to what you practice. So, what are the impacts of technological obsolescence? I'm still keeping an eye on the time. I'm wondering why we never really make it with in terms of time. So technological obsolescence, the impact is that there is continuous investment burden, which I have said you have to continually invest in the system for it to continue working for you. There is certain long-term values of equipment, long-term value of equipment that is uncertain long-term value for the equipment, disruption to workflow when the outdated technology breaks down. So if you have an outdated technology and it breaks down and you cannot be able to fix it, you are still struggling to find someone who will fix it for you, then your workflow will significantly slow down. A CBCT machine purchased 7 years ago may no longer be compatible with current treatment planning softwares or AI add-ons to the in your systems. So there is then going to be limited usefulness for that CBCT machine that is only 7 years old. Then you see you begin to struggle. So does it mean that every 7 years now I have to change to a new CBCT machine, and these machines are really very expensive? Do I have money? Have I even had enough return on investment to be able to actually move on to buy a newer machine, or should I just stick to this? Or do I have to now be paying other people to go to their practice to do their CBC, to do my patient's CBCT scan? Okay, there are issues with technical errors and equipment failure. Now this happens every time. Okay, softwares break down, internets will break down, the technical errors. So you could actually be producing something. We have looked at the advantages that this will give you, things that are very accurate, very reproducible, very reliable. However, what if there are technical failures? Okay, equipment failures. Equipment can fail. Technologies are brilliant when they work. Technologies can be very frustrating when they don't work. Imagine I am here now delivering this session to you and my internet goes off. As brilliant as this section might sound to you, once my internet goes off, the whole system is messed up. Okay, I can be doing this and my electricity goes off. Once my electricity goes off, we all begin to struggle. Okay, so again, equipment can fail. You can wake up in the morning, turn on your laptop, and it will not work. I have been to an interview and my laptop refused to work. Equipment failure. What are you going to do? Nothing. It will impact on your productivity. So digital systems can malfunction or produce errors due to software glitches. So your software can glitch and you send a file and then the file will not produce well. If you've ever sent something to a printer and the printer prints it out, I'm talking about normal printing papers. So you send a job to a printer and it's printed how you don't want it. Maybe you wanted it to print 1 page per paper and it's printing front and back. And you don't even know it until the printing have finished. And then when you go to collect your printing and it's printed front and back, and you don't want it front and back, you want it 1 page per paper, and that creates a problem. Okay? Or it could be that you send it there and the printer jams in the process. When the printer jams, what do you have to do? You have to now manually open the printer, pull out the papers, try to reset it, and hope that it works. Maybe your printer can even develop a problem that after printing 2-3 copies, it will jam again. After printing 2-3 copies, it jams again. These are equipment failures and technical malfunctions. Okay, so common issues incorporating scans due to movement, fogging, and poor techniques. So you can have poor techniques and poor movement when you are doing the scanning, and then that can actually cause you to have a malfunction in your output. Software can crash. Okay, I've had phones that did crash before. If your phone crashed, you won't be able to use it again. Then you have to go and update it and all of that. Or maybe they say, oh, you can't use this phone, it has crashed. So things like that. So softwares can crash and data can be lost. Okay, there is also the possibility of, we'll come to that when we talk about data privacy as well. You can also get hacked. Once you go technical, then that means they can also hack your system, and once they hack your system, your patient information can be stolen, your financial information can be stolen, and all of that. Then that can, maybe you are in somewhere in Africa and someone in China decides to hack your system. Whereas if you are doing manual work, nobody is going to travel from China to come and steal your patient information in your clinic. So once you go technical again, you expose yourself to some of those issues. Okay. Also, there are machine downtimes for planned repairs and updates. Sometimes the bank will send you a message to say, oh, our system is going to be down between this hour and that hour because we have a planned maintenance. That is also a period of time where there is going to be loss of productivity, because once that downtime happens, then you will not be able to function. You have to wait until that maintenance is completed. So the impact is that there is increased chair time and repeat procedure. So once malfunctions happen, you have to repeat that procedure again and hope that it doesn't happen again. And if it continues to happen, you continue to do that. So imagine you have done the intraoral scanning and then you lost the file. Okay, you need to bring that patient in again to repeat the thing for it to do it, or maybe the scanned work was not perfectly done and then there is an error there. You need to rescan it again. So you need to be conscious of this and we need to be aware of it. So there might be delayed treatment, patient dissatisfaction. Again, you begin to get some bad reviews. You have technology that their technology doesn't even work. They should go back to what they were doing before. And you know, people can be very, very funny. You might want to invest all of this money, and once there is a problem with it, and then the patients will start bad mouthing in your clinic. They say, well, they have that technology that doesn't work. They don't even know what they are doing. They don't even know this thing doesn't work. In fact, someone will come there and tell you, I don't want the scanner. I want you to use to just take impression because I don't know, you people don't know what you are doing here. And you begin to wonder, did they actually know how much money that I have invested into this equipment just because of patient dissatisfaction? One example is that an intraoral scanner may fail to capture a deep margin accurately, resulting in a poorly fitted crown that may require you to rework again. So if that happens, what is going to happen? You have to come back, bring that patient back, and you do the whole process again. And that will be a cost on you because you're not going to be charging the patient twice for a job that you failed to do well. I started talking about data security problems and privacy concerns. So once you begin to go digital, you expose yourself. When we were not doing Facebook and Instagram, people did not have our pictures all over the place. You cannot imagine how many people have your picture in their phone now that you're not even aware of, or your video of you that you're not aware of. Why? Because you went digital. If you were by yourself on your own, nobody in China would have seen your picture flying around the internet. Everybody wants to go viral now, even though they do that intentionally. But think about that. What if you don't want to go viral? What if you don't want your patient data to go viral? What if you don't want your business data to go viral? Because it's not just about the privacy of the patient's data. What about your own business data? You don't want that in the public domain. That is something that is private to you. It contains sensitive information that is for you and your practice alone. So what are you going to do in that case? Please, you need to be conscious of data security and privacy. And because you are not all in the UK and in Europe, there is what we call the General Data Protection Regulations for all of Europe. But you need to be aware of it, because if you are doing digital dentistry in Africa and your patient is in the UK, you are also expected to actually process the data of your patient who is in the UK in line with the General Data regulations. Okay, General Data Protection Regulations still applies to you. So this applies to people who are within Europe and processing data of people who are within Europe, or if you are based in Europe but processing paper of people who are outside of Europe, you are still bound by the law. And if you are based outside of Europe and you are processing data of people who are living within Europe, you are still bound by the same law. So you need to be careful. Once we are going digital, we need to understand the rules and regulations. The America, they have their own, the HIPAA is also their own compliance law, and then you need to be aware of local privacy laws as well in the area that you work in to avoid litigation. There is risk, there is chances that someone can actually take you to court and you might have some legal consequences. If I came to your clinic and show I show that vulnerability in your clinic, I don't want to see that information outside. Okay, even pictures, you don't take patient pictures without their consent. So you are taking patient pictures you want to post on your social media, you need to get consent from the patient to do that. You don't film a patient that with their mouth open in your clinic and post it online without their consent. They could sue you to court, and you will lose quite a lot of money going into that, and people will run away from you because they now know that you are doing illegal things or things that are not lawful in your practice. So we need to be aware of data security and privacy concerns. And in terms of cloud security, your computer systems, you need to use some kind of encryption to make sure that your laptops that you use, your computer, they are password protected. External persons should not be able to come walk into your clinic, touch your laptop, and have access to your patient data. Also, the use of mobile storage app like flash drives and all of those things should be discouraged when you are handling patient data, because those things can easily be lost. Okay, there are quite a lot to learn about data security and privacy concerns in terms of digital dentistry. What we are doing now is just an introduction to it, just to create the awareness. If we want to go deep into it, if we have time, I don't know how many more lectures that we have, about 4. If we have time, we can go deep into data security and privacy in terms of digital dentistry, so that we'll begin to look at the laws. We'll try to examine the general data protection regulations of Europe. We look at the HIPAA for the United States. We also look at data protection laws that are going around internationally and all of that, so that you can actually learn that it's not all flavors of vanilla because you want to go digital. There are things that you need to be aware of and conscious of. So in terms of that, let's think about the clinical impact of having data security and privacy concerns. There is risk of exposing sensitive patient information to the public, or maybe that could also be lost or stolen. Like I've told you, if you are using flash drive to copy patient file, anybody can do that, and that will be lost, get into the hands of the wrong people, and then the patient data could contain their health data, their financial data, their residential details, their mobile phone details, and all of that, and that can expose someone to things that they did not bargain for coming to your clinic. So there is legal liability and financial penalties that will happen, that will come to you once you begin to fall short of this regulation. So you will be legally liable for that. There is loss of patient trust. Okay, if a patient comes to your clinic without consent, you take pictures of the patient in your clinic and post it on your social media file, you will lose their trust. Okay, even if they decide not to sue you, they may contact you privately to ask you to pull that down. They will still lose. You will still lose the trust of the patient. So one example is a ransomware attack encrypts a practice entire system with patient data, locking access to the records and halting operations for this. So imagine someone hack your system. Those of you that belong to WhatsApp groups and all of that, I recently started getting messages from members of a WhatsApp group that I belong to, telling me that a certain person's phone has been hacked, and now someone is using their identity. Someone has stolen their identity. That is what we call identity theft, and is using their device to now ask people for funds. Okay, then they're saying, oh, please, if this person calls you and sends you a link, don't click on it, or if they send you requests for money, don't respond. This person's phone has been hacked. That can happen to your system. That can happen to your clinic. Your system, your clouds can be hacked. Your hard drive can be hacked. And what do? There are so many things they can do. They can sell the patient's information. They can sell your business information to people that will use it, maybe your competitors, and use it for something else, or maybe start sending scam messages to your patients using their details. They can even pose as you Okay, so they hack your system, they can pose as you and be extorting money from the patient. You'll be surprised the patient will come to you and say, but I paid for that treatment, I paid for that treatment. You said there was another treatment that I needed to pay for, which I have already paid for. What is going on? Why it is not you, it is a hacker who has taken hold of your system. They can also lock your system and demand that you pay some ransom. And if you don't pay the ransom, what is going to happen? They will halt your production. You will not be able to recover the system, and then if that goes on for long, that can actually impact on your productivity in your practice. Okay, the other one here is limited access and infrastructure in developing areas. I'm keeping my eyes on the time, and it seems that we have run out of time again today, but let's see what we can do in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so we are going to look at limited access and infrastructure in developing areas.